Oh man. Oh, it's good shit.
So this is essentially my theory on how these, like the time these changes were coming. Because that was kind of my question. I guess that's how I was starting it off. Is, let's say I want to change my hair color, right? I'm a black guy, it was just typical black guy hair. Let's say I want to change my hair to be blonde, right? Um, through this gene editing process. How, like, how long does that take? Like, how, like, I'm not expecting my hair to instantly be blonde. That wouldn't make sense. Um, but it, like, if you change my genes so that my hair is blonde, technically, that is just like it has to something has to happen, right? And saying like if you want to change your eye color through this gene editing process, if you're born with like brown eyes, you change it to blue. Like what? Like how does that even kind of work? And the thing is that this is specifically talking about um fully grown adults. The thing with gene editing is that it's most effective. I'm not even sure. Maybe it might not even be possible to do changes on full grown adults. I have no idea. But I do think it should be though, because people develop changes throughout their life and you can like say get like you can change like genders and stuff like that, get like hormone therapy, which I believe affects your genes as well. Because you have to be continually producing feminine stuff. So I don't know. I'm not gonna get deep into that because I have no freaking idea. Definitely correct me on that, or tell me, explain to me, link me some articles on the whole transgender process and how that affects, how it specifically relates to affecting DNA. But can't forget what I was saying. But like, about kind of like the eyes and the hair and stuff, you're changing your DNA, or if you can't change your DNA, you're wondering like how exactly those. Oh yeah, so I guess I can't remember what I was saying there for a second. Is like if you are changing the DNA of someone, it's best to do it when they're basically not born yet. If they're in the womb and still developing, and you change their genes, that's as far as I know, when you get the most successful results. Potentially the only way it can even be done. So if you're someone who you're born somewhere where, well, I don't know, if the gene editing gets good enough, I'm assuming the gene reading process also gets better. So we'll probably be able to reach a point where we can tell your child's gonna have blue eyes before they're born. And then now you have a choice as to, okay, do you want to keep those blue eyes or change to green eyes? Right? I think that will be a very common scenario once this technology develops a little bit further. That's essentially what they kind of call like designer babies, I believe, where it's like you're directly in control of your baby. It's almost like a character creation screen for your baby. It's actually some really crazy and again really weird ethical discussions that kind of dive into there, but I'm kind of not diving into any of that right now. Probably maybe in a later podcast. Um, but yeah, so it's like if you do that DNA editing process on an embryo, it it should be rather effective. And I mean, even things like changing their, I don't know if it's guaranteed or just changes the likelihood, but say changing like their height, maybe it's like, okay, they're very likely to be short, you can change this to they're very likely to be tall. Exactly how tall, maybe that's possible, but maybe not at first, maybe that's not possible at all. I'm really not sure. That's kind of what's exciting about it, is as we kind of dive more into it, we realize exactly how programmable our bodies actually are. And I think that will speak a lot to what we, like how we feel more about maybe like life and maybe like the soul and afterlife, that kind of stuff. I don't know. I think this is going to be some really crazy stuff once this actually becomes more developed and more widespread and accessible. I don't know. This feels like the kind of thing that could easily end up just in the hands of the very wealthy people. Um, who can just, make their genes amazing so they get no wrinkled skin, they look amazing, they live super long, which are all things that are probably possible through that. I'm not even going to get into the craziness of DNA itself and the programmability in this, because that I think is ridiculous. But, I'll try to stay somewhat on point with this, because I do want to get to my actual theory some point soon. But yeah, so again, to reiterate my point, doing the stuff on developing children, assuming that gets to the ethical dilemmas that'll probably come up because of it, that I think is going to be simpler process. Probably all going to be complicated as fuck, but that's probably going to be a simpler process. However, and I mean, just to kind of finish that off nicely, it basically would mean that by the time the child is born, they're born with the genes, the desired genes, essentially. So then they just grow into those desired genes. So that's kind of the main point why I feel that process, once we understand it more and it's reliable and that kind of stuff, and then obviously we might do stuff like how you get a flu shot when you're young and like that kind of stuff. It'd probably just be something like, oh, here's a typical gene editing package that all kids get that makes you resistant to all common diseases and makes sure your lifespan long. We probably have like a nice package that generally is recommended, maybe even forced. It's some real crazy discussions and things I feel is going to pop up when it's a matter of how frequently and exactly what is this technology is going to be used for. But anyway, it's like you could probably get some kind of specific package or something like that will kind of extend certain things, and then you can maybe figure out what like specific stuff that you're looking for outside of that. So yeah, you'll get that kind of stuff, and when you're born, you will have what it is that you want to grow into, along like desired traits. And I think maybe even things like your IQ and like man, DNA. I don't think we know. We're just really starting to dive into the depths that DNA can really, or that DNA has to offer. But I think like it's gonna be crazy if we really figure out how, or that we are extremely programmable in that, every single thing about us is controlled and controllable through DNA. It'd be crazy. But essentially, what makes us human is that, and then it gets to like, okay, you change that, and then what the hell even are you, right? But anyways, so unborn children will be born, they'll grow into the desired traits or whatever. That's fine. What's interesting or kind of more complicated, I guess, is how do DNA changes affect a fully grown human that has the traits, right? You're already 5'4", as a 40-year-old man. You poor thing. I'm just joking, short's fine, everyone be confident, do your thing. But if you're already super short, for instance, you can't exactly just be tall, right? You can't just change, even if you change the genes to say you should be tall, technically your growing has stopped, right? Or they say, I don't know, there's just like guys stop growing at 21 and girls are like 18 or something. I don't know, but it's something like that. But yeah, so it's like you're not gonna just grow more vertebrae or some shit, or like your legs aren't just gonna stretch. Like, I don't know, stuff that affect your bone structure. I'm not sure if that's gonna even be possible after you stop growing. Although, it's kind of crazy, and this ties a little bit into this theory that I'm getting to. What if the act of stopping growth, say in males at 21, is also controlled through DNA, right? Would that not mean that, if possible, you could turn that back on so that your growth kickstart again? I mean, it's almost like with baldness, where baldness, growth is stopped in a particular area on your head. That's is controlled through DNA, right? I'm pretty sure you kind of know that's a hereditary thing. So it's just a DNA thing. It can be resolved through DNA, which means you're effectively kickstarting growth in these hair follicles. So does that mean you can kind of kickstart growth anywhere in the human body, assuming you know what you're doing or what to change? I don't know. I think that'd be crazy. And there's another part of that I'll kind of touch onto in terms of the rate of growth that I think would probably be in them. I haven't heard it specifically talked about. I gotta dive more into these specific areas and see. But I haven't heard too much people talk about the rate of growth in humans, and if it's controlled through DNA, which it probably is, and if we can change that, which we probably can, how does that affect things? And I know you're probably thinking like, oh well, wouldn't that just mean like you age faster? Well, maybe, but then there's even stuff about like you're starting to understand more what potentially could cause the aging process, and that might be controlled through DNA. So I mean, again, it's really, it's just, you never know how deep this DNA rabbit hole goes. You kind of just know it is deep. It's real deep. But anyway, so circling back, DNA editing in full-grown humans, how exactly would that even work, right? I think that probably it's gonna be something like, okay, so let's take an example. So I think I was using what was it, like your hair color? So yeah, okay, let's say, I have black hair. Let's say I want to make my hair blonde. I go in, I get my DNA change. Who knows what's going to be? Injection, pill, I'm starting some radiation field for a few minutes. I have no idea how this stuff is gonna happen. But let's say I undergo the process, happens successfully. Okay, blonde hair. I'm a new blonde hair person. But what happens? Let's say at the same time, I decide to change my eye color, right? Because I think there's going to be one's easy, one's maybe not. You change your eye color. Let's say my eye color is brown right now. Let's say I change my eye color to like gray or something random. How's it going to work? Well, you ever heard this? I don't even think it's a theory. I think it's actually pretty well founded in science at this point. But you ever heard that I don't know what it is, like every 5 years or something like that, you're essentially your body is composed of a brand new set of cells. So you know that your skin cells are always dying, falling off. Your hair is always growing and breaking off. Your nails always growing. Well, your whole body is always growing, right? Everything's technically always growing a little bit. Some things just grow faster than others, right? Even your hair, the hair may be on your head grows faster than the hair on your face if you're a guy, or maybe it's like, the hair obviously on your legs and your arms doesn't grow nearly as fast or thick or dense as the hair on your head. Again, I think all controlled through DNA. So if anyone ever had a fetish of being like a wolf or like a furry, fluffy bundle of horror, maybe it might happen. It might be your time to shine. But things grow at different rates, right? So in the hair example, I feel that what's probably gonna happen is that all new hair that I would grow from the time that I got that DNA transplant or edit or whatever they'll kind of refer to it as, all new hair will now grow as blonde, right? So essentially, however long it would take for enough of my new hair to grow so that it's noticeable, it'd almost be like, when you dye your hair and or like if a chick dyes her hair, if dyes her entire hair, say blonde, but she's naturally like a redhead or something. Does that even look? That probably wouldn't. That's a not. Is that a nasty combination? A redhead that's blonde. Actually, it'd be like blonde into. Oh no, red into blonde. If it was blonde into red, that'd be dope. That's like a sunset lion mane type shit. But then redhead into blonde, is that like, it's just like clown fest? I don't know. Someone needs to let me know if there's a limit to hair colors I can just be mix and match. Regardless, if okay, let's say her hair's naturally black. Okay, jeez, just leave me alone. So specific. Um, if she's naturally had black hair, she dyes her hair blonde, and then all of her new hair that grows would be black, right? So you'd see all the base of her hair would just be black, and the rest of her hair would be blonde. I think it's the exact same process if you were to get your hair or your DNA changed. All new hair would be that color. Obviously, if you wanted like just blonde, well then I'll say if, in using my example, if I wanted it to just be blonde, well then I just shave off all my black hair, and then all new hair should be blonde. I'm assuming that's how that would work. It's probably more complicated than that, right? There's probably like excruciating pain involved, or I mean, at least like itching. Why would it itch? It's not like like new hair. It's the same hair. It's just it's now been told to be a different color. It's just weird, like, because the kind of things that, is there a limit, right? Is there a limit to the pigments that my body can produce? You know, like, can I just have my hair be red? Like, can my body produce pigments in my hair to make it red? Or is there literally some, I don't know, you think so, right? It's like, if it's all controlled with genes, obviously you've seen those situations of like, you know, a black baby with like bright blue eyes, or like a blonde with like really red hair, like, you know, like their parents are both blonde, or, you know, something like that. Like, crazy shit's possible by chance. And effectively what this CRISPR thing is doing is allowing us to take control of it, right? And to actually make these changes intentionally, and without maybe side effects that we don't know could actually come. Maybe not with the hair, but like, you know, there are side effects that could come with DNA changes. We might be able to have the positive changes omitting any negatives. So I don't know, but that's what I'm wondering, is that, is it possible for our bodies to produce pigments of a wide variety of colors if instructed to, essentially through DNA, or is there actually a limit? Like, I cannot just create green hair. Right? It's just, I don't. I mean, maybe you just eat a crap ton like celery or something, and it's like, yeah, just finally give me an excuse to eat vegetables. No, I would run. Like, green hair would be awful. But Super Saiyan hair, oh, imagine like gold, not like blonde, like crisp brown blonde. I can't rock that shit. But like gold, like freaking, you know, real Vegeta angry type hair, not the spikes and shit, but just, you know, the hue, saturation, the warmth. I don't know. Is yellow? Yeah, yellow's the warm color, right? That's in the warm spectrum color wheel. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I that's the thing. I just want to like screw. There was a point where I was like, I want to know what the next phone or the next game console coming out's gonna be, because that shit's gonna be fucking lit. Now I'm like, like, next phones will only be like $2,000, barely any, and like, fuck that shit. You know, it's like fingerprint reading. Now I get into face recognition, which it's like not much better. Next would be like nipple reading. It's like, oh, just put these 2 electrodes on your nipples and plug it into what used to be the headphone jack, but now we replaced it with this nipple reader. Because screw you, it's just, and you have to buy it for like $2 extra, but you can't get in your phone if you don't. So it was probably Apple doing this. If you did, no, I'm not a fan of Apple, but bias aside, I don't know, but the point is that this change can happen, right? You can change my DNA to tell my frickin' skull to produce blonde hair. We just don't know what happens when you do it. Does it just obey obediently, or does my liver explode? My liver probably isn't gonna explode. Well, it might. I might just be like so angry at my decision to get blonde hair, I just drink my liver into the ground or some shit. But although the whole thing with it though is that you would think if you can tell. In fact, I probably wouldn't even do this if you couldn't, to be honest, because it's kind of, I don't do this with actual programming type stuff. There has to be a way to undo it, right? If you can tell my hair to be blonde, you could probably tell it to get its ass back black again, right? So I don't know, as long as that's an option. Is there really a side effect as long as there is no excruciating pain or anything like that? I don't know. But, and again, that's the hair example. So the hair example seems relatively simple because, I grow new hair all the time. Hair is one of the things that don't really stop growing. I mean, obviously, again, you could have like balding issues, receding hairline, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, I believe all that we'll be working on probably curing that kind of stuff either before or alongside things like changing hair color, right? I mean, people will probably, you probably get a lot more money out of people paying to have a full bushy head of hair like back in the 80s or some shit, relive their prime days, or grant people that never had that because again, that's probably just good genes, right? So what the fuck is good genes if I can just get any genes? It's, if anything, it's not going to be good genes. It's going to be expensive genes. It's going to be fucking, rich guy genes. That fucking black credit card genes, if you know what I'm saying. But like, so I don't know, I think that those things will probably be worked on first. But again, it just comes back to the question, it is possible what's gonna happen. So again, the hair, that's just gonna be a matter of how long it takes for the new hair to grow. But then it's the eye color though. How does that work? Right? Like how, if I change my eye color from brown to blue, what happens? Well, that's why I was kind of mentioning earlier, that whole thing about, let me get a sip of this here. That's why I was mentioning earlier about however long it takes. It doesn't even matter the time, as long as it's within a reasonable amount of time. Like say, within 10 years, something like that. Most, if not all, of the cells in your body are new, fresh cells. Even, your brain, your heart, these cells renew themselves, albeit, again, at much slower rates. So things like the brain cells and the heart cells, and who knows what other cells your body, cells are really, really long lasting, I guess you could say. Those take a lot longer to regenerate, or to, be replaced, I should say, die and be replaced by newer cells, but they do happen. It does happen at some point. So, same with your eyes, right? Your eyes are, let's say we give it the amount like 10 years, your eyes are composed of completely different cells every 10 years. Not saying it is, but just, if this theoretically say it was. What that would mean is that if I got my eye color changed, all new the iris is the colored part, right? I'm pretty sure the iris is the colored part for my like grade 10 biology J's. I fucking hated biology, man. I hated biology. I like learning about biology type stuff, but it's just a boatload of memorization and like weird names that people are obviously stoned off some shit. Fucking, it was like, I'm gonna name this freaking, photosynthesis. And it's like, well, what is that? Well, actually, photosynthesis probably actually has I'm gonna get like, photosynthesis means this, like, photo is sun and synthesis is like this with the sun. But you know what I mean? It's just, some of the shit's just some weird ass names. And I don't spend my livelihood remembering other people's shit. Unless I also get to make up some stuff. But I'd at least make it like, it's like, bull monkey. Oh, what is a bull monkey? It can't be, oh, it actually is a monkey that looks like a bull. Yeah, because I named shit what it fucking looks like, right? It's like, why? Oh. Anyway, but back to the genes. It's like the eye, essentially however long it takes for the iris of your eye, the cells, the pigment cells that make, or the pigments in the cells, I think that's the correct way to say it, that make up your iris, all new cells that are produced will be of this blue color. So I actually think you'd see the transition, because I don't think that there's a pattern or any consistency to what cells get replaced first, like die off and all that. So you literally just see at some point this like mixture, at least this is all theory, I'm just assuming, but at least you say I'm on record saying this, if that's actually what happens. You'd see a mixture of like the blue and the brown mixed in my eyes, and you would see that transition, and slowly the blue would take over, become more prominent. Would the blue completely, like 100% take over the brown? I don't know, right? I have no idea how perfect like, even if we give our bodies the perfect programming, I don't know if our bodies will just perfectly obey it, right? It might literally be that in addition to the DNA changing, I also have to take, like, say, external eye drops to, I don't know, like, directly apply more DNA changing shit directly to the eye, and it's like, however good I do that determines how well the end result is. Like, it might not be as simple, and probably isn't going to be as simple as just, change the code in the DNA, boom, you got blue eyes in like a couple of years. But I like to think so. I'd hope so. It'd be elegant